Let's talk a little bit about, like, from a filmmaking perspective, what were your thoughts on this series? I think Peacock took a big swing here. I was impressed with that. They're clearly trying to establish themselves. I wonder if it'll catch on.
I hope so. So,
you hope that Peacock will catch on?
Well, I hope that people kind of watch this show because...
Or that there's more competition amongst the streaming services?
Yeah, or that there's more competition amongst the streaming services.
That's probably always a good thing.
More competition is always a good thing.
As we get done making a comment about everything turns into a business competition.
Yeah.
No, it's true, though, from a quality standpoint.
Yes. So this was kind of produced to be Peacock's big draw to, like, get people to sign on when they first launched it. It was going to be like, we're launching Peacock, and at the same time, we're releasing the show Dr. Death, so that people have incentive to come over to our streaming service.
Yeah, of course. I would imagine that has to come with a pretty heavy price tag. In other words, why would I sell my show to Peacock when I could sell it to Netflix?
It was specifically produced by NBC for that purpose. Okay. You know,
that's why
it wasn't like we were making a show and then we sold it to Peacock.
Gotcha.
It was NBC from the get-go was producing the show.
They launched Peacock with this show?
Yes. Actually, hold on. No. That was the original plan, but with COVID, it kind of messed things up.
Okay.
This was at least what I think the rationale was that COVID hit and they wanted a streaming service while everybody was in quarantine. So instead of waiting for Dr. Death to be finished,
they did reruns
they did reruns of The Office and Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? Their
Friends
original
on there now?
What?
Is Friends is NBC, so
Friends is on HBO Max.
But it's an NBC show.
It's an NBC show, but I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers
bought it.
Warner Brothers owns it, which means it's going to be on HBO Max. Because HBO Max is really turning into just the Warner Brothers streaming service.
Right. Okay.
I mean, look, their original plan 100% made sense. They didn't know coronavirus was going to happen, and then once it happened, they had to change things. They didn't know.
Damn,
I find that hard to believe.
Everybody knew that was going to happen.
I feel like this is. It's produced like a mid-tier TV show, you know?
Exactly.
There are definitely some scenes that are like you could tell if they had a higher budget they could have fixed. Joshua Jackson's fat suit I don't particularly like.
Why did they do that?
So thematically, I feel like his life is getting full, if his life is deteriorating, he physically looks worse. But also, like, in real life, Christopher Dunge, once he got his medical license revoked, he gained an insane amount of weight.
Really?
Yeah, he got really big. By the trial, he was pretty big.
I love that 70s cut.
The 70s cut?
Yeah, remember that one episode that just starts with a fucking 70s fucking, like...
Oh, right.
Vibe?
Yeah.
Like, with the different... I can't describe it.
Yeah, no. I know what you meant.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. They kind of like played with intros a little bit.
I like that.
The kind of like opening title of Dr. Death. It's always a bit different in every episode, which I like.
The last one was a little more upbeat than you would even think about. I liked how they did the dates.
Yeah,
like where they show where you are in the time.
That was another thing of like, which also is another kind of reason why they're making him gain weight, so that it's a visual representation of like, okay, here we are on the timeline.
I know, and it's like, and they made him a kid in the football scene.
Yeah.
Which like, at first I was like, oh my god, don't do this, but then I'm like, it kind of worked.
Yeah, that was another like. I don't know. I couldn't believe Joshua Jackson as a college student.
Well, he's fucking in his 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it I don't know. you just gotta suspend disbelief a little bit there.
Right.
But they very clearly like made his skin like super clear.
That was one of the problems that is that while I get like the story is about, you know, Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin, you know, Randall Kirby and Robert Henderson, and their kind of fight to get this guy's license revoked and charges brought against him. So you want the story to kind of start and end with them, even though they don't really come in until like halfway through.
Well, not halfway through.
Well, no, they don't really come in through like
the timeline.
Halfway through the timeline. So I get that like a lot of it has to be told in flashback. But I do feel like sometimes it jumps around too much and you can get lost of like, okay, where are we on the timeline?
It jumps around a lot.
Yeah. And you do kind of get lost. By the end, you pretty much have figured it all out in your head of like how the timeline is.
You get the hang of it. It jumps around.
When you're
a lot.
watching, it jumps around a bit too much, and you're just like, okay, when are we now? Like, is this before or after he like paralyzed Jerry? Like,
it seems a little unnecessary. The amount
100% it seems, it definitely seems a bit unnecessary.
The amount of times. I mean it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like one scene to the next.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I feel like that is my main complaint of the show, is that a lot of the times it's hard to tell where you are on the timeline.
That is true. I didn't think about that, but now that you say it, that is true.
That and Joshua Jackson's fat suit are my two main complaints of the show. And that, I'm not going to say it's a perfect show. I liked it a lot.
I liked it too.
But those are my three main complaints. Of it jumps around on it's hard to keep track of where we are on the timeline. I feel like Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin's characters don't really develop. And
That's also true.
Joshua Jackson's fat suit kind of looks stupid.